Hello, everyone, and welcome to another day on the Daily Creative Challenge. Today's challenge number 4. Finally, it's Friday. Here we are in San Francisco. I wanna see or hear where are you tuning in from. Hello. How is everyone from Oregon, San Francisco? Hello, Sam. Hello, Balder, Bobby, Lisa. In the UK, from France, nice. Hello from Mexico, Egypt. Hello from Brazil, New Zealand. Wow, a lot of really cool countries. Hello, Nelly from Panama, Austin, Texas, London, Germany. What time is it right now for you? For us, it's 9 a.m. in the morning. It's a beautiful day. Oh, hello from Sweden. Camilo, how is it going? Hello, Isamar from Mexico. Cool, New York. Germany, Tampa, Florida. Nice, Maui, cool. I think I'm gonna go to Hawaii probably in November. Let's see. Okay, we're gonna start. Before we do this, I'm just gonna give you all of you a couple of information. For those of you who just you have never done this before, the Daily Creative Challenge is basically it's a challenge that you start going through every day, and the idea is to just for you to learn a new tool, to learn something, to get inspired, also interact with the community. Explore, experiment, and most of all, just have fun. The way for you to start in this in the Daily Creative Challenge is you go to this website, behance.net/challenge/Photoshop, and this is the main website where you can see the challenges. So, for example, right now we're going to create a scene, a day scene, and every day you're going to be able to unlock a new challenge. So that's pretty cool. Besides this, you can press here and take the challenge, and you can also press and subscribe. So in that way, you're gonna be able to receive emails and letting you know when a new challenge is gonna happen. So that's a really cool way to keep staying tuned. Another way for you to commit or to be engaged is you can join the community chat by pressing here on the top, community chat, or on the bottom. Here, join us. When you press here, it's gonna take you to this platform, which is a Discord, and this is where actually this is a really cool way for you to engage, because you post your challenge for the day, you get feedback, you start meeting people, you can just chat with mentors, you can chat with people that are new to Photoshop, people have more experience in Photoshop. So in that way, you can really not only meet, but learn a lot from this. So I really recommend. You can follow past challenges. You can ask questions, tips and tricks, career advice. So it's really cool, and I suggest everyone to just go and do it. Okay, so cool, let's start. So what we're gonna do today is something that I personally like a lot, which is basically compose a day scene using layers and the brush. So the first thing we're gonna do right now is, I have a couple of images from a trip I just made on January. As you can see them here. So what I'm gonna do right now is basically I'm gonna start taking parts of those mountains and just make a new composition out of those images. As you can see, for example, in this image, you can see how, depending on the sun, you can see how the mountain that is closer to the camera is like darker and then gets lighter. So I'm gonna think about how to compose using those kind of ideas and guides, right? So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create a new composition, which I already have, and then I'm just gonna take all of these images into Photoshop. You're gonna have some started files, but I'm gonna first explain you something, and then I'm gonna go to the started file. So the first thing I'm gonna do is, okay, I'm looking at this image and I think of, okay, I like this mountain here, the first one. So I just gonna grab this one and take it to my new composition. So I'm just gonna grab the quick selection tool and I'm just gonna select it like this. If you press the square bracket, you can make your cursor bigger. So in that way you can, yeah, exactly. That's in Peru. This is the Andes in Peru. Let's see. So you can start selecting whatever you want. If you have a problem like here, for example, I don't want to select this area, you can just press Option Alt on the Mac and start deleting the parts that you don't want to use, right? So here. Now that I have my selection, I'm gonna press Command J, and basically what it's gonna do is create a new layer only using that selection. So if you see, if I start moving this image, I'm gonna just start moving that part that I selected. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna click and drag, and then I'm just gonna drop it in my new composition here. If you press Command on the minus symbol, you're gonna be able to zoom out, and then I press Command T. I'm gonna start resizing the image here, so I can have that part of the image that I really want to start using right here. So for example, okay, I like this part. I'm gonna make it a little bit bigger. So I'm gonna resize it a little bit like this. Okay, cool. Then I'm gonna go to my second image. And now what I wanna grab is just this mountain here, which has these really cool areas and this really, you know, I like the shape and the contrast. So I'm gonna do the same. Quick selection tool. And I'm just gonna grab that mountain here like this. Again, Command J. Here. And I'm just gonna click and drag and drop it in my same composition. But if you look on the right, I'm gonna place it underneath my first layer. So you're gonna start composing layer by layer. So what's gonna happen right now is I'm gonna resize again the mountain. And I'm gonna start placing it underneath. And just again, you know, just start selecting your images, start thinking, okay, which parts do you actually wanna see? So I'm just gonna place it right over here. Cool. The next thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna keep doing the same with different images. And in this case, I just wanna select this big mountain here. So I will do the same. And here. Command J again. And click and drag. And drop. And remember, always, I'm always, every new layer I add to my composition, because I'm still gonna start composing to front to the back. Everyone has to be underneath it all. So here, and I'm just gonna start resizing all of it. Like this. But I just wanna make it a little bit bigger. And just place it here. This is what I like. You see here from my selection, you can see there's this really weird sort of shape here. That doesn't matter. So the way you can remove that is you go to the layer that has that part that you don't want, and you create a layer mask by pressing here on the bottom, this icon here. What it's gonna do is create a mask on top of it, so you can just start painting on top, and that's what we're gonna be covering in the next part of this challenge. So here, make sure you can see on the left you have a black square and a white square. Make sure it's on the black. Make sure your opacity, fill, and smoothing is on 100%. And then you can just start erasing all the parts that you don't want. And the brush tool is really, really one of my best tools, to be honest. I use it a lot. And I'm gonna explain way better in the second part, because I'm even like, you know, I can use this brush to merge faces, to merge walls, to merge people, and it's really cool. So here, just gonna start deleting parts that I don't want. And you know, again, just take your time, think about what you wanna do, take your time doing this. I personally love using the brush tool, so I can spend a lot of time just using it. So, just find your rhythm, find your time. And in this last image, what I basically want to do is grab some mountains from the back to have this sort of reference. So I'm just going to take the last parts like this, Command J, and just place them underneath it all. And again, just place it underneath, and then we start resizing. And I just want to have a little bit of reference of them at the back, like this. Last thing I'm going to do is I want to grab sky. So I went through my images and I found this really, really cool sky. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab the sky here. Command J. And I'll just place it. Again, everything underneath. So here you're going to have first layer is the first one that I place, second layer is the second, and so on. And here I'm just going to resize a little bit the sky. Say like this. Cool. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start editing and making some changes to each layer individually, so it's going to make more realistic. I'm going to first add a brightness and contrast, and I'm just going to clip it to the first layer that I have. So you do that by pressing here, this sort of a square with an arrow, and then I'm just going to start messing around with the brightness and the contrast here. Then I'll do the same for the second layer. Again, brightness and contrast. But in this time, I'm just going to make it a little bit lighter contrast. And I also want to add a little bit of more of a color balance. Yeah, I'm just going to add some greens here and some yellows. Cool. And then, you can just go back and forth, changing and tweaking. It's all about, the kind of image you want to get. Then I'm going to do the same for the third one, which is this one here. Brightness and contrast again. To make it a little bit brighter again. And then I will do the same for the last one, layer 4. Click, brightness and contrast. Again, make sure it's just affecting that layer. And then just gonna make it a little bit brighter like this. And then at the last thing, I'm just gonna affect the sky. I wanna have a lot of contrast here. Let's brightness. Cool, like this. And the last thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add something that is gonna affect all of the layers here. So I'm gonna start bending them right now. Some contrast, less light here. And then finally, the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a grading map, which is something really cool that I always like to play with. I'm just going to change. You can see the different bending options here. I recommend you to just start playing around with them. So I'm just going to use the one that's over soft light. And if you press here, you're going to have different options. This is a really cool tool to just colorize your images. And I'm just going to select something that I like. I like this one, actually. And then I'm just going to turn the opacity all the way down to like here. So in that sense, I already created this image out of different kind of image. And, you can start tweaking. You can start making changes. Take your time. Make sure it looks like the way you want to look. So right now, I'm just going to save this image. Challenge number 4, 1. Here, save. Cool. And then what you do here in Discord, you go to your Discord, you press on the plus. You're gonna be able to start uploading your images. So this one, yeah, upload, open. Challenge number 4, 1. Cool. So the next thing that I'm gonna do right now, I'm gonna do the same, but I'm gonna use with the images that I provide to you. And I'm gonna play with layers, but also using the brush tool. So I'm gonna close all of this right now. I don't wanna save. Erase, don't. Okay, cool. So right now I'm gonna go to my files, Scene2. Yeah, and then I'm just gonna drop all of them right now here. So I want to start composing all of them to I used this one yesterday to compose a daisy, so I'm just gonna use this as a base. So when I start looking at images right now, every time I love to play with layers and with the brush tool. Why? Because, for example, I'm looking at this image, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna select. I like this mountain, and let's say I wanna have it again here on the left. So quickly, I'm just gonna grab my quick selection tool, and I'm gonna start selecting that mountain like this, but just that part. I don't wanna select the whole image, and I'm gonna give it a little bit of space, so you're gonna notice why after this. If this happened, no worries, you can just go and press Option Alt, and you can start getting rid of that selection that you actually don't want. Okay, cool. And then, okay, cool. Now that I know this is the selection that I want, I'm just gonna Command J again to copy the layer. And because I'm only selecting this area, it's just gonna duplicate that part that is selected. So if I just move this area, I'm just gonna move it here to the left. I'm gonna press Command T so I can just start transforming the image. I'm gonna click right click, and I'm gonna click on flip horizontal. So you're basically gonna mirror the image. So it's gonna look like this. I'm gonna make it smaller. And I'm like, okay, I like it this way. Press enter. And then on top of this layer that I wanna start making some adjustments, I'm gonna create a new layer mask by pressing the same that we were using before. And I'm gonna start using one of my favorite tools, which is the brush tool. So what I'm gonna do right now is using the brush tool to sort of like paint on top of both images to make them bend better. So I'm gonna make sure my opacity is not 100%, let's say 67%. Make sure it's with black you erase, with white you paint. So now that it's here, you can see how I can just start painting on top of them. And because it's not 100% opacity, it's gonna make this it's gonna start like making this sort of a smooth effect on top of everything here right now. And again, you can just. So why I like the brush tool is because it's sort of like start painting on top of all the images. And right now, make sure you are painting on top of the layer you created, because if you start painting on top of your image, you're gonna start making this. You're gonna start painting on the image, which is what you don't want. Again, let's go back. Make sure you're painting on your layer. And then here you're just gonna start painting the parts that you don't want, black. Okay, cool. And then again, just take your time. Oops, sorry. And then here, you can start painting. The idea is to make everything bend and basically you don't want to see any weird sort of parts that they don't match the other parts, right? So here, actually like this area here, let's paint a little bit here. Okay, cool. And then let's say, again, take your time, because some areas here, they need more, you need to make it more, like on the edges, you need to start painting with more. You can use a mouse, you can use an external mouse, or just the mouse pad here. Okay, cool. Let's say I already have this. And now I want to take this image and place it on the image that I'm going to making all the composition in, which is this one. I chose this one. So what I'm going to do first is, if you select both layers and you press Command E, you're going to basically combine those images together and have just one. That is cool, but then you're going to lose the information you had before. So I'm going to press Command Z to undo. And you can do the same. You can bend them together, but you can also make Photoshop making a new layer on top, combining all the elements, but you don't lose the information before. So you select all the layers, you press Shift, Alt, Command, and E. And you see here, I just created a new layer containing all the information below. And quickly, what I'm going to do, I'm going to make these images, these parts not visible. I'm going to select my quick, and I'm going to erase the sky here. Okay, cool. And then here, I'm just going to erase the sky. I'm going to press Command D to deselect. And then I'm just going to click and drag the image and place it on my composition here. I'm going to place it underneath. And here again, I can see the sky. So I'm just going to do the same, and I'm going to remove the sky. So again, I'm going to press my quick selection tool. I'm going to select the sky. I'm going to erase it. And then I'm going to start placing the image from before here. And let's see, I just want to have this area here. And again, you can just start playing with this and see what parts you actually like, what parts you don't like. And let's see, I want to have it like here. So now that I'm here, let's say I have this area here which I don't like, so I'm just quickly going to create a new layer mask. I'm going to grab my brush tool, and I want to start erasing those parts that I don't want. Right. And again, you have to be really taking your time to do this. I personally love to do this. I can just start listening to music and just be really taking my time to make the edges especially look really good. Okay, let's do here. Just gonna do it really fast here right now. Okay, cool. And then here, let's say I want to be able to have this, I want to be able to see more of this mountain here. So, oops. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to create a new layer on the first layer here. And I'm going to start erasing so I can be, I'm going to be able to look at this mountain here. Press here. And as you can see here, I'm able to I'm going to start painting on top of it. Cool. And then I can start painting on top. And when you start painting on top of the images that you actually don't want, you can just play with what images are going to be underneath. And then, I can do the same with this image. I can just take this part and start placing it underneath. Now, in terms of time, I'm just going to do a couple of things more. Here. To make it even, then just take the sky, J, and place it underneath it all. So in that way you can, yeah, smoothing also helps. So this is a like really cool ways for all of you to start thinking of how can you start making compositions using layers, and just use the layers and use the brush tool. That's all we have for today. Make sure to upload your images into Discord, and we'll see all of you on Monday. Have a good weekend. Cool.